Honestly, I'm sick and tired of slavery. And you're like, what do you mean? Who are enslaved? Let me explain. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you for watching my videos. My name is Da Vinci Jeremy. I'm in the pipe 5x5 here in Dubai. Man, you know what? I checked the charts and nothing's really going on. I mean, we're gonna probably go down a little bit before we go higher. Of course, we could still break higher and just ignore that, but who cares? It is with a heavy heart. I put out a tweet and I asked people, right, if Bitcoin is money, right, we don't need to pay any taxes. Do you support not paying any taxes, right? Or paying, you're willing to pay for the roads, right? And of course, because most of my audience are crypto people, they are mostly going to support no taxes, right? Because they understand the concept. But unfortunately, 50% of them did not, right? This is the situation we are living in. We're living in a world where a large percentage of the population believes they have a right to the wealth of the other half, right? And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We see it all the time in every single situation, in every set of government. Now, people will point to, corner cases and stuff like that, and it's ridiculous, right? I could say, hey, you know what? I know somebody who jumped out of a plane or fell out of a plane and survived. But does that mean it's the normal case? No, right? It's ridiculous. So it's annoying when people do that, right? When you say, hey, well, what about the one person who survived the plane crash, right? Do you think that it's normal that everybody survives a plane crash? No. Okay. With that said, right, I have to point out that when we do this, right, for example, in Canada, right, I used to live in Canada, the healthcare system is free, but it's the worst. Why? It's because the people are effectively slaves. Why? Because if they do a better job, make a more efficient job, they don't get paid more. They don't increase the value, right? So that they can get even more money. No. This is why, you know what? If you've noticed, plastic surgery went from $5,000 to something impossible to pay for in the 80s to be a few $100s today. Why? Because the government's not involved. And as more people realize, wait a second, there's so much money over there, a lot more people went into that field and made it more efficient, came up with different ways of providing great plastic surgery. Boom. Right? Prices came down. So everybody could afford it. This is what's happening here. You have the government coming in with your tax money that they robbed from everybody and making a mess. Right? Making things worse by enslaving the population. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And people say, what about the people who can't you know what? What about the bears who want to come and eat food and rather not go hunting? Right? They're starving. We should take care of them. Right? Well, that's illegal. Why? Why? Oh, because then they won't be able to hunt for themselves. Oh, but what about people? Well, it's really difficult, right? In this world, we need UBI, right? We need people to help other people. Yes, there will always be people that helps other people, but not by force. Not by force, right? If you want to help somebody, if you believe in helping someone, go do it. Go do it. But you should not have somebody else with the power to do that for you, right? Meaning that you can't force somebody to pay another entity like the government to help people. Why? Because it always ends badly. How do you know that? How do I know that? Jesus Christ. Okay. The U.S. government, back in the 60s, took out a war on poverty. On a percentage basis, how they doing today? Oh, shit. Poverty won. Okay. That's only just one example. Alrighty then. Let me give you another one. How about the Affordable Housing Act? Do I have to say more? Oh my God. Okay. How about with education? They must have done something right there. Okay. I guess education is cheap. Everybody could afford it. And it's easy to get into. And I guess that's not really true, is it? No. Okay, so you see what's happening, right? You know it. Yet, unfortunately, there's a large number of people who either benefit or believe in the opposite. They believe that this is the only way. And this is why it is my duty and the duty of those to do something about it, or else, disaster will come, right? And you know it, right? And some people will end up being like this and say,
it needs correction.
You don't know that!
I'm the only one who knows that.
And yeah, Thanos, right? He may have been correct, right? In that situation, right? And I think we're correct here in this situation. But he had the fortitude to see it through. That so far, his strength was so much that there was only one chance in 14 million to stop him, right? And you're thinking, well, I don't want to be the bad guy. Well, you know what? Honestly, the only way that you can make change is that there will be people who don't agree with your change, right? There will be. That's how it is, right? There will be. And now, I think the basic solution is to make sure that you have a place on this planet that allows us to do this. And everybody else who wants the free ride and free taxes, they can go live over there. They can go try their failed experiment over and over again until they end up in their own suffering, right? Because that's the end result. That's the end result. So, with that said, right, you go, well, we don't know if your way is going to work. Okay. So, I do live in Dubai, right? And if you come here, right, and you have a stack of cash and you stick it on the ground, right? Do you think that cash will still be there? If you come back the next day? Yes, you will. Yes, it will. How's that possible? How is it possible? Answer that question for yourself. Then you'll know it is possible. What I'm talking about. Cheers.